Costa Rica is located in Central America and has seen both geological and hydrometeorological disasters over the past 20 years. In 1969, the National Emergency Law was enacted, and the National Commission of Emergency was created. This commission operated with two main directives. The first directive was the executive branch, which has the power to declare state emergencies, and the second directive was the National Emergency Fund, which provided funding for all disasters. In 1999, the National Commission of Emergencies became the leading institute for a national platform of disaster risk reduction, as well as being responsible for the National Disaster Plan. The focus was to mitigate and reduce the risk of disasters through education and training. Also, the National Disaster Plan helps create awareness of disasters and the implementation of an early warning systems. In 2006, the legislature passed an amendment that created a path to establish a national system for risk management. This piece of legislation was produced due to the open dialogue between scientists and the public sector experts, and was a holistic approach to disaster preparedness. Costa Rica used a centralized national government to respond to emergencies until 1998, when Act 7794 and 7554 passed, which decentralized the government response, which created a much faster response and allowed the local community to take ownership in mitigation, preparedness, and response to emergencies. By doing this, it ensured disaster awareness among all its citizens and became a bottom-up approach. Costa Rica is prone to the following disasters: flooding, earthquakes, mudslides, volcanoes, hurricanes, and tropical storms. Almost 40% of the country is exposed to three or more adverse natural events. Costa Rica has a management process for risk prevention by providing a resilient community focusing on the vulnerable and excluded population. Preparedness through the regulation and education. Response by using guidelines for response, the use of early warning system, and activations. Reconstruction to rebuild in an effort to reduce the risk in the future. Participants in disaster management for Costa Rica, it starts at a local level with the citizens and the municipalities. Then the national government, Costa Rica relies heavily on outside aid from the international and private sectors. Some obstacles Costa Rica faces with their disaster management is the population growth, especially around the river valleys and the areas prone to volcanic eruptions. Technological hazards with the number of planes and cruise ships that arrive daily. Also due to the planes and cruise ships arriving daily, the huge influx of tourists who don't know or understand the emergency response plans of Costa Rica. And one of the biggest, they do not have a national military to aid them in their evacuations or disaster response after. In conclusion, Costa Rica uses regulation to reduce the risk of disaster. Their main goal is to educate and preparedness to mitigate and reduce the risk associated with a disaster. The response plan isn't that great of a plan, as they rely heavily on outside assistance, but the preparedness plans and the recovery plans will help them build a more resilient community to disasters.